Hi, and welcome to this video where we're going to create a lower third bar, which is a common bar that you would usually see to bring up details of a subject on screen. It's called a lower third bar because it usually sits around the lower third of the screen. Okay, and so I'm going to use my usual T for sort of title tool and just type something in. Okay, and I might have a second layer underneath that tells you a little bit about this person. In fact, let's just change that to something else. Jack Smith. Okay, there we go. So underneath we might have his job. Now if we zoom in a bit, you'll notice the title actually exists as a layer. Okay, so it comes up as its own track. So it does actually sort of exist on this in that one, right? So what I'm going to do now, so with the, as we looked at before, the problem with say something like text straight onto video is, again, unless you have high contrast like we do there on the waistcoat, other bits may be a little bit more difficult to see. So usually when you see lower third bars, they usually have a graphic that goes alongside them. So what we're going to do is go File, New, and we can create a whole bunch of different things. If you go File, New, we can have a new project, a new sequence. Sequence is a timeline. Okay, all kinds of little things there. Bars and tone, right, which is just like a calibration tool that you can pop on. But we've also got a color matte, so I'm going to select that, and it basically creates a solid shape that is the size of the screen. So the resolution, the frame rate, everything is already set to match whatever the composition is set to. So you can see there it is. It's called lower third, and it's 25 frames a second. You can't see the resolution because you'd have to scroll across, but it will be that. So it does that by default. So we click OK. Oh, I think it did have a name as well. I could have typed a name in for it, which might have helped, but never mind. So in this case, let's go with our usual orangey sort of color. I think we went for an orangey color before. In fact, let's go for a deep orange because I'll change it a little bit anyway. Ah, there we go. There's a name. Orange bar or something. I'll call it that. Click OK, and there it is. So because this is obviously, I would say I call them layers. So I'd say layer based, although technically the term for these are tracks. The playhead as a bar, you'll see has a line going through, and so it starts at the top and then sees the next thing, then the next thing. Okay, so it starts from the very top and goes down. So for that reason, it makes sense to move the text up and to move the orange bar underneath. Okay, and at the moment, by the way, the bar you could see was literally a frame, I think, long, and I had to sort of stretch it out. I'll have a look at a separate video how you can change that, but basically you have to go to the preferences. I say that actually, why not just have a quick look now, see if I can sort of generally find it. I think it's in media, and I say that no, it's not. And so now I'm going to spend a bit of time. It might be in timeline. I'm going to spend a bit of time just scrolling around trying to find the setting I'm after. But yeah, you'll find that there will be an option. It won't be an appearance. Don't know why I'm looking there, but there'll be an option for, won't be in media cache either. Yeah, I'm just going to go through where you can set the default length of still images. So whenever you create something that is a still, okay, we can set that up to be a particular length in time. And it's usually up here somewhere. So that's where I'm looking, by the way. So it's, yeah, from what I recall, it's usually right at the top somewhere. Oh wait, hang on, isn't this it? There we go. Sorry, I say that 1 frame is set to 2 frames. So still image default duration is set to 2 frames. So you can extend that, and then any image you bring in as well, okay, at the moment will always be brought in at 2 frames long. So it's not really a big deal because we can stretch it out, but you know, by clicking on the end and dragging the thing across. But you know, imagine having to do that for every single image if you've got a lot of them. So you want to go to timeline preferences and just change the still image duration there. I'm going to leave it as it is for now. I'm quite happy with that. Anyway, so there we go. So we've got the bar. So well, I say bar. We've got a color solid. So it's reading the text first, then the orange bar, and then underneath is the video, which we can't see at this point. So this is where we can again go to our effects panel. I say again, that's based on me having done this in a previous video. If you haven't watched that, you might not have seen this bit, but we've got a whole range of effects on here, and I'm just going to grab one called crop, and I'm going to drop the crop onto the orange bar. And so if I select the orange bar now in our effect controls, remember you have an effect that you apply, but then you have an effect control that has all the properties on that. You can see down here we've got the crop, and so I have the option to crop it from the left. you know what? Sometimes they do these things, don't they, with these like this whole solid box and stuff. It kind of looks sort of cool. Sometimes it works. But in this case, I just want to draw a quick shape. So I'm just going to go underneath and bottom as well, bring that up. Okay. And like I said, it could be a bit longer if needed as well. Underneath if you wanted a second line or something, right? A second piece of text, which I'd probably make in a smaller font. But there we go. Let's go for something like, not exactly like that. It's too far across. Okay. But let's say we wanted something like that. All right. So in this case, I'm just going to draw a single bar. Now, what I could do as well, notice we've got no more tracks, but if I just drag this up, it will automatically move that up, create a new track, sorry, as I move it up. There wasn't a track there, it just generates one. The reason I did that is because, in fact, actually, I was going to create a second bar, but what I might do instead is just duplicate this clip, and I'll call this black bar instead. So it's a quick way to do it. If I double click, you can see it pops back up with the properties, and this time I'm going to make it black, and I'm going to drop that underneath. And now, because I copied it from here, right, which is where my files initially start. You can see I've just created a solid box. So I've changed its color to black. So it's a big solid shape, and it needs a crop applied to it once again. Okay. The reason for that is, like I said, because when we applied the effect, we applied it in the timeline, not where it was initially there. But what I can do is hopefully just copy the orange bar, right click on black bar, and this time not paste the bar obviously, but paste its attributes. So if I paste the attributes of the orange bar, it says, hey, which ones do you want to apply? And really, I just want to apply the crop. Click OK. And the same exact crop that was applied to that gets applied to this. All right. Obviously, that's not exactly what I want, but now it just makes it a little bit easier. So all I really want to do is just reduce perhaps the bar at the bottom. Okay, no, actually, I don't want to do that. I'm going to undo that. And instead, what I'm going to do is just change its position. And I'm going to bring it down a bit. There we go. There we go. So it's kind of sitting like that. And I might just bring it across a bit as well. There we go. So just to sort of give it that shape. So, you know, like it's not really a true drop shadow, and we could change it a bit, but I think that kind of works nicely. We can do, you know, I think better than just a solid orange bar. Maybe bring it down slightly more if we want to. There we go. Yeah, make it more obvious. Boom. Okay, so I feel sometimes just doing a few little changes can help. Now, I've already looked at animating in a previous clip, and I would certainly look at animating this to perhaps, you know, slide in from the right-hand side and then slide back. Quite easy to do. So I won't go through that here because it's the exact same thing I did in a previous tutorial. But what you could also do, which I find sometimes work quite well, is select the orange bar, and let's reduce its opacity down to 50%. Okay, let's take that black bar and do the same. Now, if it doesn't work as well on the black bar, we can just remove it entirely. Okay, but yeah, so maybe not working. If I'm going to reduce the opacity, that's probably not going to work as well anymore, right? So let's just turn the black bar off for now. So I could do something like that. Now look at it, 50% might be too much. There we go. So sometimes if you don't want to do the black bar option, you could have something like that instead. Yeah, where you kind of have a semi-transparent bar as well. So there's all these sort of little tricks you can do to sort of generally create something that just looks a little bit nicer than just one solid color, basically. And now that I've done it, I think like I said, I'll stick with what I had originally. Thank you very much. Maybe just drop that a little bit though. See how that looks. Yeah, quite liking that. There we go. So yeah, keep that in mind as well. But again, I'd say it's based on a specific color scheme. Ooh, that's weird. The animation is on, just realized. So I noticed here it's semi-transparent, there it isn't. So by default, I find that the opacity is usually on. So if I turn it off now, it will keep the setting that applies to it right now, which isn't great because it's semi-transparent. So I've got to find a bit where it's solid and then turn off the opacity on the orange bar, and it will just keep that setting. And the black hopefully just keeps that nope, it doesn't keep the semi-transparency either. So again, find the bit I want and turn off the opacity. So it's really weird that the opacity keyframes are usually switched on by default. Bit annoying. Okay, but yeah, feel free to have a go, have a you know, try creating some lower third bars, see what works for you. Okay, and thank you for watching.